Greetings, fashion futurists. As promised, we've shifted our sartorial gaze across the Atlantic to New York to continue our fabulous adventures. This series, we're focusing on the business of fashion, taking a look at the glamorously titled back-end jobs. Vital to keeping the industry afloat. Sorry to laugh, it's not funny. This week, we're looking at different managerial approaches to running your own label. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the British Vogue YouTube channel, or you might miss out. I moved to New York in 2009 to host an MTV chat show, basically, and inadvertently ended up becoming more involved in fashion just through living here. It's literally, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. The energy here is really high octane. People work until midnight and get up at 5 to go to the gym before they go to work again. I think it was just a bit of a shock when I got here that that was the way of life. Plus I had no mates. It is somewhere where you can get things done. If you have an idea, someone else will help you realise that dream, as it were. If you come here and you're feeling a bit like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work, you can be buoyed up by people here because they're so enthusiastic and positive. Yeah, let's do it. You want to do a pants line? Fantastic. Everyone's so friendly here. So I was like totally reading your feedback from series 1, and loads of people requested more of an insight into the business of fashion. So I thought, duh, we should totally go to New York. I mean, if London is all about the art and Paris is couture, New York City is surely all about the money, baby. Renowned for being a city of workaholics, it's one that has produced some of the most progressive minds the worlds of management, communications, and retail has ever seen. We're kicking off in one of my favourite parts of town, Soho, where I frequently partake in one of my favourite pastimes, jogging. Sorry, I mean shopping. They're kind of the same thing, actually, but one's way more expensive. That's jogging, of course, because the accessories and nutrition bar derivatives are way out of control these days. Anyway, Lindsay Butler started her boutique leather store in 2008. She runs Vader from her studio, showroom and storefront in the heart of Soho, and somehow manages to juggle both running the business and leading the design team side by side. I'm pretty sure she hasn't slept since 2005. Hello. So what are people doing right now?
They're making samples, and then actually I think that they're working on, we did these little baby jackets, so I think we're making a few extra baby.
You're doing baby leathers?
Yeah, they're really cute.
That's pretty cute.
Yeah.
I feel like I might one day turn into a creepy weird lady that doesn't have any children but just collects children's clothes and strokes them at night, like one day. Can you start by telling us what you think your job title is and how many you have? Because you have a lot of slashes going on.
Sure. I've sort of defined it more recently as like, I think I'm more like a creative director role, and then definitely CEO. That's also a big one for me. But of course I do fittings,
yeah.
I don't know, I feel like I do a little bit of everything.
When you were younger, did you have a set goal? Did you think, oh, one day I want to be the CEO of my own company?
I actually did. I really wanted to like own my own company. I did not know that it was a fashion company. I was just like, I want to be my own boss. That was really important to me.
You came from the business side, and you definitely excelled in that. Because I read a quote from you in an interview where you were saying that so much of what you do encompasses so many different things. So you'll be doing the creative, but also you'll be, have your head in the middle of spreadsheets as well, which you actually might enjoy more.
Yeah, I definitely like them both a lot, and I think I might enjoy the business side a little bit more.
What did you study at university?
Philosophy and religion.
So nice.
Yeah.
How does that play into what you do now?
I think it helps with like thought processes and like how I process information, and a lot of like studying philosophy is like basing your arguments on things. So yeah. I don't know how that helps exactly with work, but I feel like maybe it just like helps me organize my thoughts in a way. Just
because this program is based on feedback and questions from the audience that might be watching it, and a lot of our comments were about how to parlay your degree into a job in the fashion industry, and people are concerned if they study law or science or politics or whatever, that it won't be relevant to the industry. But
it absolutely is. I also think like a lot of like liberal arts degrees in general are just kind of like about teaching yourself like how to be diligent at doing work and how to think and how to work with other people and sort of how to relate to the world. And I feel like that's a lot of what I learned at school as well, like just how to kind of be in the world on your own and things like that. You just have to want to work really hard and pick up things as you go along.
Because we were talking as well about whether business acumen is something that can be learned, or whether you think that's inherent to people and then they become successful business people.
Gosh, I don't know. I kind of think it's a little bit of both. Like, I feel like I'm good at it, so but I don't know if that's something that's like innate. I definitely learned things along the way. Like, I'm still learning how to be a good boss and a manager and a leader. I feel like it's all can be learned, but I think maybe for some people it's easier than other people.
When can I buy this? May?
May, yep.
This, everything. So brilliant. This is just the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's really fun.
How much is that going to be?
I think like 300.
How do you decide how much something should cost?
So you have to kind of work backwards from what it actually costs to make, and then you have to build in like a wholesale markup because you have to sell it to the stores first, and then they have to mark it up to retail at their kind of standard. Usually it's from wholesale to retail, it's like 2.2.
And does your store price reflect that of
like so I do the same retail price just to be considerate to my stores, but sometimes we'll make like one-off products, or we have a small collection called the Mercer collection that we sell just in the store, and that is kind of for us a fun way to test new styles, but also to get in like a lower price point jacket because we can just make them and put them directly in the store and there's no middleman.
You didn't have your store to begin with?
No. Started doing wholesale to begin with, and then moved into retail.
And how important do you think retail is now? Because I know that you have an iPad in your shop and people can still incorporate the e-commerce thing into it. So do you think it's still relevant to have a retail space?
I do. I think I kind of went back and forth. Maybe like 3 years after I started the brand, I opened a store in Ludlow, and I had that for about a year and a half. I really wanted to have that touchstone with the customer, and I think for that reason alone, it's really important. Like, I hear such awesome feedback from the store, like, oh, the buckle on that jacket is like makes a lot of noise, and people keep not buying it because the buckle's jingly, and I was like, is the music not loud enough in the store? Like, why is that happening? But that's not something I've ever heard from like a wholesale account, but that's great. We got a new buckle now, so it won't happen anymore. I think it would have taken a lot longer to like get that information.
Do you have advice for anyone watching that wants to set up their own business, something that you wish you'd been told before you embarked on this journey?
I think just in general, understanding that you kind of need to have both, that creative side and a business acumen. It really, I mean, so if you don't have that, if you're just creative and you make beautiful things, like that's amazing. Find somebody that you can partner with that does have that. I think partnering, I think like mentors, I think asking questions and not thinking you know everything, like the sooner you can learn that, like I think the better off you'll be. So I think asking for help and finding the right people to work with is really important.
And that, my dear Foffers, is what a multitasking Wonder Woman looks like. As Lindsay says, the right help is key, and a strong partnership can help build the foundations for enterprise. Joseph Altazara found the yin to his fashion yang with CEO Karis Dermer after launching his eponymous women's wear line in 2008. The rest is beautiful history.
I really felt that I had taken it as far as I could, and that I needed a partner within the company to help me think about things differently, to help take it somewhere that I didn't feel I could take it on my own. It's a long process trying to find that person.
We really talked about the type of company that we wanted to create if we could work together, and the environment that we thought was great. Joseph had a lot of experience working at different types of fashion companies and had a really strong point of view, and I felt that, you know, he was very mature and very wise. And I don't pretend to have every answer. I don't want to have every answer, but my job is to help Joseph build his team and then to build out the rest of the organization so that they can provide the answers and that the group as a collective can help sort of the best ideas rise to the top.
When you're looking for new team members, what's been some of the harder roles to fill?
Recently, we spent a long time looking for a merchandiser. And I think merchandising is very important and sometimes overlooked role in an early stage of a company.
What do they do? What does a merchandiser do?
A merchandiser is able to sit with the design team, understand what their needs are and the direction not only of the brand but of that specific season, and look at the creative director and know what's making him or her tick that season, but at the same time analytically understand where the company is trying to go in terms of the numbers, in terms of the breadth of the collection, key categorizations, and key price points.
As we start launching the collection, then there's also a question about like, okay, this fabric is like a really specific kind of dyeing process, so maybe we can do this and it's going to be expensive, but how about we think about also a more commercial way of doing it? So is it also about doing a digital print that looks like this, but that could be less expensive?
I would say to anybody that wants to be a CEO, to think about not only the things that people, tell you in terms of strategy, brand building, et cetera, but I really think you need to be aware of how much time you spend with people and building your team, because that is really, I would say, 50% of what I do today. I think in this specific industry, it's also having the awareness that you will work very closely with your creative director. You'll hold their hand every step of the way and they'll hold yours. And I think that CEOs in other industries don't have that partner, that is necessary for growing their business. And I'm particularly lucky because Joseph is such a pleasure to work with, genuinely. But understanding that as a CEO, you need to be sensitive to them and know how to work with them and understand what their habits and patterns and needs are, because that's critical. Otherwise, you won't be successful as a brand.
Excellent.
Super lucky.
Oh, guys, not now.
That's true.
So as you can see, there's really no cut and dried way to structure a managerial system within a fashion brand. It's a complex world out there, but I'm learning it's very much about finding people who complement each other's skill sets. That way, everyone can bring something to the table to create one big, beautiful fashion pie. It's sort of like free love, but with, hemlines and spreadsheets instead of LSD and cuddle parties. But I digress. Our final meeting is with perhaps the poster children of progressive retail presentations. Umberto Leon and Carol Lim launched Opening Ceremony in 2002 with a manifesto to combine their passion for art, travel and fashion. Once a tiny store in downtown New York, they've now gone global, and their conceptual scope is ever-shifting and always innovative. Also probably worth a mention, in their spare time, the duo have led French fashion house Kenzo to dizzying new heights since taking on creative director roles. Their unrelenting ingenuity and success almost makes you want to hate them.
Oh, shit.
But to make matters worse, they're also really nice people.
Hello. Hi.
I guess we're just going to have to roll with it and join the lovin'.
That's amazing. Okay. Thanks, guys. Sometimes I think they think I'm shoplifting in here. So I come... They do. I bet they do. I'm like, oh, what?
Carol and I actually met at university at UC Berkeley when we were 18, and I studied art. Carol.
I studied economics.
Perfect.
We met. I actually worked at retail for 14 years, for a long time before we got into this, and then I got recruited into corporate, and I worked for The Gap, and then I ended up working for Burberry when they were rebranding.
Wow.
I knew that banking and kind of finance wasn't for me, and so I was like, I want to live in New York. So I was like, why not try fashion? And it took me actually a while, because everywhere I interviewed, they're like, what do you do? Like, what's M&A? And I had to kind of explain what I knew how to do, and then a year and a half later, it started Opening Ceremony. So
can you list some of the jobs that exist in order to make this thing run? I think people might need to know that there's like a PR situation, a lawyer, a da-da-da.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Carol should wrap this. Don't you?
You can wrap it now.
Well, like, I think in my world for our Opening Ceremony, I oversee a lot of what the people call the back office functions. So from finance, legal, IT, HR, logistics. Then there's like the retail operations and the e-commerce operations. There's merchandising and buying.
And then from my end, there's the designing, the art department, visual merchandising.
Special projects.
Special projects, graphic designers, content team for web and social media. All in all, it's a pretty big brand.
That's a lot of birthdays to keep up with.
It's a lot of birthdays, a lot of celebrating.
But it's a good question, because I think there's a lot in fashion that it's not just the creative side. There's a lot of other pieces that you absolutely need, because you could have all the things, like amazing ideas, and then something legal could be like, oh, well, you just can't do that idea. So I think having that, you know, connection with all those different areas is important.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of people that come to us, they come from a non-fashion field, but they're professionals and as lawyers and things, and they'll come to a talk that we did and they'll say, hey, how do I work in fashion? And we said, there is a job for you in fashion, you just have to find the right place.
Exactly. I'm always amazed as well by how cool all the staff are here, and that the shop assistants are like really up on everything. Like what's the interview process for finding those people?
Well, we generally don't ask them about clothes. We start off with, what's your favorite bands? What movies do you love?
Nice.
It's a little bit more of a nerdy interview, and I think everyone that interviews with us always is shocked.
Oh yeah, they get really stumped, because they're like, oh,
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, like, because we always say, what's
sweating, there's a lot of crazy.
Has anyone ever cried when you're interviewing them?
Definitely, a lot of crying, panting, needs 15-minute break. That's because you're hiring children babies. You're just hiring toddlers. It's because we ask people these personal questions, like, name your 3 favorite bands. And then
that is the worst question, though, when you're not prepared for it. Because like, you can think about that all day long, and suddenly you're like, and then you come out with something like Nirvana, and you're like, oh, man.
And then we get follow-up emails saying, I said that, but actually, you know what I wanted to say.
But that's good. That's when you know you've got someone that really cares about getting this job.
Yeah.
Which is the other thing.
But then just curious people that I think have, they want to know and learn things, and I think that translates really well.
Can you talk to me as well about this retail space and how important it is to have kind of bricks and mortar, and how that's changed as well since you've started?
For us, it's a really great way for people to experience the stories we're trying to tell. I think a lot of times, you know, online, you don't really physically get to touch things. So for us, there's something really, really nice about being able to tell the story of the designers that we carry.
Yeah.
I think it's really about the experience. What's interesting is I feel like people use opening ceremony also as a meeting point. So it's also, for us, what we kind of can almost see like as a square where people would meet. I mean, opening ceremony, you see it on the weekends always. People are meeting here.
It's a marketplace. Where let's meet by the potato.
They're talking, and then they'll look at some clothes here and there, and they'll buy or they'll not buy. And I think that's how we've really been able to make this also a family store, because parents will come in super excited about something that we're launching, bring their kids in, or the kids will bring their parents in. And to us, that's really exciting. There's not too many stores in fashion that focus on families. I think it's nice that we can be part of that community and be a place for these people in that way.
I feel like we're interviewing a lot of people in this New York episode, but we were trying to find female CEOs to talk about. And there seems to be an imbalance in that world. There seems to be a male-dominated profession. How do you think that impacts the industry? And do you think it's changing as well?
It definitely impacts the industry, and whether it's changing or not, I think it's a deeply rooted, I think, systemic thing that starts pretty early on, I think, with, you know, saying, are these jobs even available? I don't know if girls are even taught, like, oh, these are things you can aspire to. And I do think that, you know, it needs to change, but a lot of it has to do with awareness. So it is about talking about it and creating those paths for women.
Yeah. Well, this might be inspiring for people that are watching you. That's a good
I hope
job
so,
for me
yeah,
to do.
definitely.
Speaking of inspiration, next week we have even more insights from some of the biggest movers and shakers from the New York scene. We'll be talking to opening ceremony's dashing PR specialist Brian Phillips.
I think Taylor Swift wore this.
Does it smell of Swiftie?
Does it?
It stinks of Taylor Swift. It smells like angels.
And learning new words with the theoretical geniuses behind normcore.
Most of it has to do with the fact that it was a neologism.
I don't know what that word means. I can't do it.
Please subscribe to British Vogue and their lovely YouTube channel, because we like you and we want you to like us too.